There are plenty of powerful beings in That Time I Got Reincarnated as a slime, and I have covered some of them in the past, but none is more synonymous with power than the true dragons. And since I only talked about Veldora previously, I think it's time to go over both his sisters, starting with Velgrynd the Scorch Dragon. So similar to my other character breakdown videos, we'll be discussing a story throughout the series as well as her powers and abilities to see just how powerful she really is. As usual, this video will contain spoilers for the light novel and anime, so here's a spoiler warning just in case. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this in the future. This video is sponsored by ExpressVPN. Nowadays, going on the internet is quite dangerous with how easy it has become for your internet service provider and other companies to access and sell your personal information. But lucky for you, ExpressVPN is able to protect your data from predatory advertisers by rerouting 100% of your network traffic through their secure and encrypted servers. And with over 90 trusted server locations, ExpressVPN has definitely made it safer and easier for me to access certain anime trailers on YouTube that are region locked and help in my research for certain video topics as well. ExpressVPN is super fast and easy to use with just one click of the button, so start protecting yourself today with ExpressVPN by using my link down below to get your first 3 months for free. Now back to the video. So who is Velgrynd the Scorch Dragon? For starters, she was the third true dragon that came into existence. She's the younger sister of the Star King Dragon Veldonava and White Ice Dragon Velzad, and the older sister of the Storm Dragon Veldora. And being a true dragon, she has the physical manifestation of flame, a dragon that wielded the blazing heat and was in essence the embodiment of acceleration itself, and this was her nature. She also possesses the intrinsic skills associated with the race like the dragon spirit HAKI, a powerful presence that surrounds her, imbuing her aura with magical and physical properties, and anything that comes into contact with it will be eroded. Next is universal perception, which gives her complete control over all her senses, allowing her to sense things that are far beyond her perception. Then we have universal shapeshift, and this essentially allows her to freely change her physical appearance and properties. This was the skill that allows a true dragon to have a human form. For the fourth and last skill, it's called material creation, giving her the ability to create physical objects or matter by using magicals. This is normally used to create weapons or clothing, and because the grade of the items depend on the magicals consumed, Velgrynd is able to easily create mythical grade equipment with her true dragon magicals. Continuing on, she was also gifted an ultimate skill by Veldonava called Charity King RAGUEL, part of the Virtue series. This gave her the greatest offensive capabilities and the ultimate control over energy. This ultimate skill also has the power to provide support as well as destroy by amplifying something beyond their limits, and it perfectly complements her acceleration nature. The skill itself has 5 sub-skills, with the first one called Amplification, allowing her to amplify something beyond the limits of the target almost indefinitely, either in a positive or negative manner. Then we have thought acceleration, space-time manipulation, and multi-layer barrier. The last one is parallel existence, which I'll explain later in the video. That said, much like her nature, she was very hot-headed, often acting upon her emotions rather than being rational. But under that impulsive nature, she's a very caring and compassionate individual, especially towards her beloved Rudra, to the point of always overindulging and spoiling him. And regarding their past, we don't really know much other than she has been with him for a few millennia and her love for him was quite extreme. If anyone even insults or have hostile intentions towards him, they'll have to face a wrath. Also, she was present when Rudra first proposed to play a game with the first Demon Lord Gi Crimson. The game was to determine whose idea was correct, and the winner will have the ultimate right to rule the world. The condition for the game is that Rudra and Gi were not allowed to directly fight against each other, but they were free to use their pawns, with Velgrynd and Velzad being their respective ultimate trump cards. The winner is decided when all the pawns of the opposing side have been eliminated. Velgrynd actually disliked the game because it was very unfavorable for Rudra. The reason being that Gi and Velzad as a pair was always much stronger than her and her beloved. Even if Velgrynd fought seriously against her sister, the best case scenario would be a draw, and the worst was she would get destroyed. That's because Velzad's nature was deceleration, a direct counter to Velgrynd's acceleration. That's why she always chose to avoid any serious confrontations against her sister. But speaking of confrontations, they do occasionally fight in the past for one single reason, deciding who should be educating their newly born little brother who would constantly cause problems. Both have very different methods. Velgrynd wanted to take a more compassionate approach by slowly teaching him how to live alongside nature, whereas Velzad wanted to take a harsher approach by killing him every time he was causing problems. Personally, I think Gi was right about them. Moderation is the key, and both their methods were too extreme. There's a reason why our weak dragon was so traumatized by his sisters. Anyways, when Rudra took over as the Emperor of the Eastern Empire, Velgrynd followed him and became the guardian deity of the nation, but she was never in the public eye, and only a select few like the royal family or the members of the single digits of the Imperial Knights had met the true dragon. And her main role as the guardian deity was to conduct the emperor selection ceremony, meaning she had to choose the next emperor, but they are simply a formality because every generation it was just Rudra incarnating into a new body. Aside from being the guardian deity, she has later appointed the position of Marshal, a title reserved for the strongest in the empire, giving her the highest authority second only to the emperor. On the surface, people can challenge the holder of this title to become the next Marshal, but realistically, this was actually a title created solely for Velgrynd so that she can maintain a public persona without revealing that she is a true dragon. Although people like Lieutenant Kondo and Damrada knows about her identity, but because she hated politics and making complex plans, she mainly leaves everything to Rudra, and whenever she is needed, only then she will enforce his will as the Marshal. In any case, over the millennia, Rudra's game with Gi eventually turned into a stalemate, but thanks to Lieutenant Kondo, they had a plan to break the stalemate which heavily involved Velgrynd, mostly relying on a parallel existence skill. This allows her to split her consciousness into multiple entities that are capable of using all her existing skills, and each entity are considered to be the main body, meaning if her main body was destroyed, she can simply transfer her consciousness to another. The only drawback is the magic consumption, but for a true dragon like Velgrynd, the minimum cost would just take 10% of her existing magicals, meaning she can create a maximum of 10, but most of the time, she likes to only have 3 to 4 so that at least one can maintain around 50% of her existing magicals. And if she retracts one of the parallel existence, the magicals will return, although if they suffer damages, the amount that is returned will vary. Now the plan was to invade the Jura Tempest Federation, the armed nation of Dragon, and the western nations in an overwhelming blitzkrieg attack, and when the enemy forces are spread thin, Velgrynd will move to capture the Storm Dragon Veldora and bring him under their control. However, there were some in the Imperial Court that opposed the idea, mainly Ghidorah and Yuki Kagrazaka, who were secretly working with Rimuru to stop the invasion. So Velgrynd decided to use her authority as the Marshal and True Dragon presence to influence the decisions of the Imperial Court. Thus, the Imperial Edict was passed and preparations for the invasion would begin. When the invasion started, it was a complete disaster as they underestimated the Tempest military and the Imperial forces were completely wiped out, surprising even Velgrynd. Realizing their initial plans backfired, Velgrynd was finally allowed to enter the battle, and this was actually where Kondo's plans really begin. She would be performing 3 separate objectives at the same time with 3 parallel existence, so I'll be referring to each as Velgrynd 1, 2 and 3 to make it easier to differentiate. Velgrynd 1 will accompany Rudra to confront Yuki, and after defeating the traitor, Rudra used his Regalia Dominion to forcefully take control of him. Afterwards, they will return to the capital because they anticipated that Rimuru would lead a raiding party to attack Rudra and their predictions were correct. And after Rudra failed to win over Rimuru, Velgrynd trapped Rimuru's group inside the Fortress of Dreams, an alternate spatial prison while they teleported to Rudra's Imperial airship. Because they deemed destroying Tempest and Dragon more important, she will use space-time connection to transport the entire Imperial airship fleet that was headed towards the Kingdom of Ingratia over to the battlefield in Dragon. Then she remained by Rudra's side for the majority of the war. For Velgrynd 2, she will arrive in Dragon to eliminate the Mixed Corps, a division of the Imperial army that was loyal to Yuki, so they were considered traitors to the Empire. And as a show of force, she activated Gravity Collapse, creating a gravity force field that crushed them like fruits, draining them of their blood, leaving only the corpses behind. This was actually part of Kondo's plan to have the mind control Kigali perform her dead birthday ritual to create powerful undead elves from the corpses, and Velgrynd was essential in helping improve the efficiency of the ritual. But as she was maintaining the gravity collapse, the Demoness Trio had arrived to stop the ritual, so Velgrynd created another parallel existence, and I'll just call this one 2.5. So while 2.5 was busy fighting the Demoness Trio, number 2 kept the gravity collapse going, and Ghidorah and his Demon Colossus arrives as well, but he wasn't trying to stop her, instead they simply had a conversation. And the only reason she did not outright kill Ghidorah was because she was one of Rudra's oldest friends. Also thanks to Ghidorah, she was able to learn about Masuki Honjo, so she was grateful for the information. Now over to Velgrynd 2.5, even though she vastly outclasses the Demoness Trio, it was a somewhat difficult fight for her because thanks to their constant training with Veldora and Zagion, the Demoness Trio had become quite skilled at dealing with spiritual beings like Velgrynd. They even managed to damage her with weapons created from pure willpower, which actually impressed her, and as respect, Velgrynd used her full power to defeat them, expending almost 9% of her magicals. Now over to Velgrynd 3, she was tasked with the capture of Veldora, and to force him out of Ramorous' labyrinth, she fired a large crimson spear that completely destroyed the top 50 floors of the labyrinth, showing how insanely destructive she can get. This forced Veldora to confront her, and it has actually been 2000 years since they last met, but after having a brief conversation, they started the battle in their dragon form. Throughout the fight, Velgrynd was trying to gauge the level of his skills, thinking that he still hasn't recovered his full strength, but she soon realized a mistake because no matter what skills or attacks that she threw at him, he was somehow able to easily dodge everything with minimum damage. Even one of her strongest abilities, Cardinal Cage, a scorching prison reaching tens of thousands of degrees, was somehow barely avoided by him. It was then she realized that Veldora has grown a lot and even acquired an ultimate skill himself. This obviously annoyed her because she knew this will affect Rudra's plans, but deep down, she was actually proud to acknowledge her brother as an equal. That's why she decided to fight seriously, recalling Velgrynd 2 and 2.5, but even with the additional match skills, she knew if the fight dragged out, she might actually lose to him. But her objective was always just to destroy Veldora, so when Rudra's airship arrived, Kondo fired his strongest attack judgment to completely destroy Veldora's defenses, allowing Rudra to use Regalia Dominion. They successfully took control of Veldora, and he was actually saddened that his sister threw away her pride relying on such a cheap tactic just to defeat him. But Velgrynd only cares about helping Rudra realize his goals and defeat Yi. However, shortly after Veldora was taken, Rimuru and his group managed to break free from the Fortress of Dreams and had arrived on the battlefield, and after seeing how Rimuru was able to quickly turn the tides of the battle, Velgrynd decided it was better to eliminate him first, so with permission from Rudra, she along with the mind control Veldora engaged Rimuru in battle. But during the fight, Velgrynd was furious at our little slime friend because not only her attacks were being deflected by him, he was also intentionally ignoring her. This forced her to use Scorch Dragon Cardinal Acceleration, her most powerful technique designed solely for Sister Valzad. She basically condenses a large supply of magic use, spreading it across the body, then supercharging herself with her ultimate skill Charity King RAGUEL. She was now able to move at a speed several thousand times faster than the speed of sound. She attacked Rimuru, but to her surprise, he nullified her strongest attack simply by eating it with gluttonous King Beelzebub. This left her in shock and unable to react in time. She was trapped inside an installation prison, and because she could not escape, she was slowly transferring her magic skills to Velgrynd 1 inside the airship, but when she saw Rimuru consume Veldora, she lost her composure and thought he had killed her brother, which was ironic considering what she did to him. So when the installation prison dissipated, Velgrynd unleashed all her rage towards Rimuru, but because he had essentially become a true dragon, she was utterly dumpstered by him and later she would be consumed as well. Inside Rimuru's imaginary space, she found Veldora safe and both siblings were able to discuss things in a calm environment. Also, when the Mana Seal was scanning Velgrynd, it noticed that she was under the effects of Rudra's ultimate dominion, meaning at some point in time, she was placed under his control, which explains her extreme behavior a lot. Meanwhile, going back to Velgrynd 1 inside Rudra's airship, she along with Rudra's remaining forces prepared to fight against Rimuru's forces, so she'll invoke the 8-gate formation, isolating everyone in an alternate space where they can only escape after defeating all the enemies behind the gates. She planned on defeating Rimuru's forces and then using them as hostages. However, she greatly overestimated their own strength because Rimuru's forces managed to defeat everyone, so she contemplated about escaping with Rudra, but just as she was about to, she was struck from behind by him. And that wasn't all, Phantom King Feltway would appear as well, and he would use Chrono Saltation to wipe Velgrynd off the face of this world. With that, Velgrynd 1 disappeared into the void. Now as all of this was happening, Velgrynd 3, who was still inside Rimuru's imaginary space, was watching it unfold, and it made her realize that her beloved Rudra has been completely consumed by his ultimate skill, Justice King Michael. She also noticed that when Michael attacked Velgrynd 1, the last fragment of his soul had disappeared, so she demanded Rimuru to release her, but knowing that she would revert back to being controlled by Michael, Seal proposed to alter her ultimate skill and remove the control circuits affecting her. Seal would then take Charity King RAGUEL, combining it with fragments of Rimuru's Covenant King Uriel to create Divine Flame King Katuga, an improved version of RAGUEL. It also had the added effect of giving Velgrynd the ability to travel through time and cross dimensions, and with the combined Uriel, she was now able to detect the soul fragments of Rudra, making it easier for her to search for them. Thus, she was released by Rimuru, and after saying their goodbyes, Velgrynd left, and using her new ultimate skill, she would first find herself drifting inside an endless void. There, she also reunited with Velgrynd 1, who somehow managed to escape from Feltway, and so she began her journey across multiple worlds and ages to collect all the pieces of Rudra's soul. As for the events that happened to Velgrynd afterwards, like her adventures in different worlds, I'll be leaving that for a separate video. Overall, Velgrynd is a very interesting character, and everything she did was mostly for the people she cares about, even if she is sometimes blinded by compassion and impulsive nature. I personally found her character decent, at least she redeemed herself in the end after being freed from Michael's control, but what about you? What are your own thoughts on her? Feel free to leave a comment down below. Again, thank you to ExpressVPN for sponsoring this video. If you enjoyed part 1, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification button to know when part 2 comes out. Anyways, thanks for watching, and as always, stay safe everyone.